and everyone was being nicer to me, I got this sort of ego amplifier.
Oh.
And
You became the good-looking boy, the Greek boy.
Oh, I don't think so, but yeah. But then I started acting out at work. I got into arguments, and I was being a bit hostile to people.
Good evening, Australia. Welcome to the show. I'm Michael Kuzilny, and thank you very much for tuning in. Tough times never last. I'm a criminal defence lawyer. I've been around the courts for more than 30 years, and I spent the first 10 years as a cop in some of Melbourne's toughest districts. And I always found that so many people go through difficult times, but a lot of people wear their masks. You know, they don't share their difficult times. You see them on the street. How are you? Are you busy? It's the same old rubbish all the time. Are you busy? Are you well? Yeah. Oh, that's good. You know, they're all formalities, and what we really need to do sometimes is smash that ego and be a lot more authentic. If we're feeling down, we tell people we're feeling down. Tomorrow's another day. If you're going through a difficult time tonight, love and best wishes. Tomorrow's a new day and things will get much better. I'm always very impressed with the hundreds of people we've had on the couch over the last 8 years. We've had some high-profile people. We've had magistrates. We've had the Attorney General. We've had the Chief Commissioner of Police. We've had people who've been incarcerated for more than 30 years. But tonight we've got a down-to-earth chap. His name is Marcos, and he's going to tell us about his light of suffering. And Marcos, thank you very much, bro, for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure, Michael. Great to be here.
Very, very good vibes. I always go into a room and feel the vibes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm similar.
But you're a decent fella. And what I liked about your email, you said you don't drink, smoke or take drugs, but went through a series of challenges, bullying at school, and then, of course, you thought you had a weight problem, and then you also got involved in a cult. But let's start about school days. You went to school in a normal school?
I did, yeah. It was, probably shouldn't say the name, but it was just a very nice normal primary school.
Yeah.
And I just feel bad that I didn't have the experience I should have had, you know? Lots of things got in the way and stopped me from enjoying it. But I tried to make the best of it.
Tell me exactly, and you know, what happened at that school? It sounds like there was a bunch of thugs. There was group activity. There was bullying. Why is that? You're such a kind-hearted, still young man. But what happened at school?
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly. I think I was different to others. I was the tallest and the heaviest usually. And, you know, people just didn't want to play with me. You know, they'd run away from me if I tried to join their group activity. And a lot of stuff happened at home as well. It was a difficult environment. You know, we're passionate Greeks, so there's lots of fighting, a lot of break-ins as well. So that's sort of...
Break-ins?
That shook my confidence a lot. So I was always kind of withdrawn. So maybe I didn't invite people in enough.
Oh.
Probably. Yeah.
Mum and Dad were together?
They were together, yeah.
Still together?
They're still together. They have their moments, but I like to think they love each other. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stayed.
Of course they do.
Together, yeah.
And folks, no relationship is perfect, is it? You know, I was in court all day today. I had a few days off. I went away for a short mental health break, but I got back today and the phone didn't stop ringing. People, you know, professional people with PhDs having domestic violence issues, you know, people getting in trouble with the tax office, people having road rage. It seems like everyone's so busy these days, everyone's overwhelmed that, you know, a lot of people are getting very angry. We should just slow down and realise that life's not an emergency. And I think it's very important just to show a lot more loving kindness to others. That's one thing we're lacking in Western society, and they should really teach you that at school, just to smile a bit more and, you know, try to build people up. They say, if you make somebody else's day, God will make yours. And I know you pray. I got that vibe. You show gratitude in the morning. You say, thank you, God, for all those...
Yeah, very much.
You know?
I never take anything for granted, you know? Just be grateful for everything and be
lovely.
humble. Yeah.
So what are some of the real disgraceful things they did at school?
Primary school or high school?
Both.
Yeah, high school, there's a lot of physical thuggery. You know, I recall punched in the stomach. Someone held a ruler to my throat like a knife. Never spoken about that. Yeah, a lot of verbal problems. I actually dramatically lost weight in high school just because I couldn't handle the barbs and those sorts of, you know, cruel insults. Yeah, I guess in primary school your brain thinks it's worse than it actually is, you know, because you're just a kid, you can't really handle anything. But yeah, it's mainly just mild sort of stuff like, you know, not playing with me or some cruel words and that sort of thing. Yeah, I think part of the high school problem as well was I started in year 8, so I didn't have the year 7 experience to make the friends and the connections. So that I was always an outsider at the high school.
Was it a very sort of Aussie-based school, Caucasians, or were there a few sort of a lot of Europeans or people from other countries?
Oh, I haven't thought of that. Yeah, a lot of Caucasians. It was a private school.
Which area?
So RQ. Yeah, it doesn't narrow it down. There's lots of schools in Q.
No. But there weren't too many sort of Greeks, Italians, or were there?
There were a few. Yeah. Yeah, there weren't many heavy people because it was a school very much sporting achievement oriented, appearance oriented.
I get it.
So I was made to feel like I didn't belong because of that. Excuse me. And yeah, those sorts of things.
But isn't it funny though? You're strong, you're fit, you're bigger than everyone else at school, and they pick on you when you could have just punched them and knocked them out.
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't occur to me. I was just humble,
You were so humble.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's something about humanity, folks, isn't there, where we sense, kindness and someone who's humble and not outspoken, and people pick up on that, and the bullies, the ones who feel insecure inside, start picking on those people, and happens at primary school, happens at high school, happens at work. I remember in the police force, I spent 10 years in the Victoria Police Force, and it was the same. You worked well with everybody. You caught crooks and helped people through the difficult times, and all of a sudden you had somebody who's a sergeant who might be a few years senior to you, and you get that bullying, and unfortunately it makes it very uncomfortable, doesn't it?
It does.
And I think a lot of the bullies, they feel inadequate in many ways, and they try to drag other people down.
Yeah.
And they backstab, and they laugh at people. But at the end of the day, what people don't realise is that life's got a perfect accounting system, hasn't it, folks? Whatever we put in comes out, and life's got a perfect accounting system. I really believe that life's a game of boomerang. So every time we spread that poison or even think negative thoughts about somebody, guess what's going to come back? A lot worse, and and people do end up suffering because of their own actions. It's called karma, and it's not what I think, it's what I know. That's why it's so important, even though those idiots stirred you, to not retaliate and just show kindness back.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do.
What happened after all that? You had a terrible schooling. High school, was it good?
High school was okay. As I said, it was a private school, so there was a high demand of everyone. You had to be sort of sporty and high marks. I didn't excel academically. I mean, I guess I have a brain that works differently. I prefer to create in my own way rather than just do what teachers tell me to do. I was okay. I just I never really had good friends. I just tried to sort of mingle.
Look around. You've got some beautiful friends now.
I do now, but just not then.
Well, you've got beautiful. It sounds like the first 21 years of your life were pretty difficult, and now you're starting to flow. I didn't enjoy my school either, but love and best wishes. Marcos on the couch will be back very shortly. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Michael Kuzilny. If you're going through some difficult issues, just go through them, and quite often there's nothing to fix. I know there's people out there who are going through some a marriage breakup, people who can't see their children. I know there's people out there with very serious medical conditions, and you haven't got long to live. God bless you and your family. There's people out there who've gone bankrupt and, are close to living on the street. All sorts of difficult conditions, but sometimes we think we've got to fix something, but sometimes we just have to go through it. And the courageous people in life can go through their difficult times with a smile on their face, and that's your challenge, to go through the difficult times with a positive attitude. Look at people like Nelson Mandela, 27 years behind bars, got beaten up, got whipped. He was a criminal lawyer. He's a great inspiration of mine. But 27 years, he was happy in jail. Even the prison guards used to say to him, "How come you're so happy?" He said, "Because I'm content." He used to meditate, and then he came out and he was still smiling. They made a movie about the man. That's great courage. A few months ago, a couple of years ago actually, on the couch, we had a lady from South Africa. She told me that her mother got tortured and raped and killed. Her father got burnt because of political reasons, and then her 8-year-old son died of leukemia, and then the 14-year-old daughter suicided and jumped off a train. She came to Australia to be a counsellor, but God bless her, she treated all the volunteers with a beautiful kindness. That's what I call courage. And people do go through difficult times, and I really think, Marcos, life's a combination of 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. I think we just have to have an upbeat attitude. Yeah. You had a breakdown in 2014, God bless you, where you became the bully.
I did, yeah. Well, it was a combination of things, After high school, I felt so liberated,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the uni experience. I always had mental issues, anxiety and paranoia and stuff.
But you know what? We all do.
We all do.
Look
Absolutely.
around. Everybody does. All these people here and all the people on the street, everybody is suffering in silence. Everybody has something they're insecure about. They just won't tell you. We wear the masks. I'm okay. But we could go up to all these people here and say, is there something in your life right now you're not happy with? And they go, oh, yes.
Yeah, very much. I also had a problem with anger for a little bit. I don't know how it happened. I think after I lost weight and everyone was being nicer to me, I got this sort of ego amplifier.
Oh.
And
You became the good-looking boy, the Greek boy.
Oh, I don't think so. But yeah, but then I started acting out at work. I got into arguments and I was being a bit hostile to people. And I'd been working there for 4 years. And in
Where was work?
I was working in a Victorian association.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'd rather not say the name.
Certainly.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd worked there for 4 years, and then in that year, I was very hostile. I was very sort of egocentric. I wasn't doing my job properly. I was having arguments, and literally, I got called in front of a hearing at work to see if I should be terminated or not, and I was terminated. And that really broke me down. And I felt like my whole life sort of ended, because in that year, I'd also been kicked out of a uni club. I'd sort of lost friends, and all my prospects kind of just went away. Like I didn't know what else to do with myself. So that was a tough year. It happened sort of gradually over 2014.
Over 2014, Marcos, that's amazing. One would almost think that, you had an ice problem or a drug problem, but that's not the case.
No, not at all.
That's not the case. It was almost a case of the ego.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
A build-up of anger and maybe power and confidence and almost a bit of a rebellious attitude. But reflecting on it, you thought, maybe I didn't act appropriately.
That's true.
And then, folks, Marcos says you spent a couple of months on the couch, just didn't want to get through the day anymore.
Yeah.
With anxiety.
Pretty much. Depression. I just felt like I was the soldier in the battlefield after the war. So my own problem, my own ego had caused this, seeing in the aftermath of what I'd done.
Yeah. Yeah. Marcos, you're such a beautiful soul and such a beautiful young man that you can acknowledge all that.
Yeah, I can. Took a while.
So many people I deal with, folks, they're 40s, 50s, 60s, they always think, they're perfect just because they went to university and got a degree, but so many of them are broken people, broken inside. I've represented so many professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors and lawyers who are suffering in silence and all of a sudden they do something crazy, like drink too much or get onto the cocaine or even ice. Professionals take ice. It's quite amazing, the mind, a turbulent mind. Marcos, you're on the couch, and did you decide then to go to a mental health professional?
I did, but I went to a student counsellor, so that wasn't
good.
It wasn't the kind of help I needed. No. I needed like a psychologist,
Yeah.
So they helped a little bit, but it wasn't until I went to the psychologist that I got the help I needed.
So the psychologist, unfortunately, they come back with all these names. I think there's 358 mental conditions now.
Oh, really?
Which one did they tag you with?
It was paranoia, OCD. And apparently I'm on the autism spectrum, which I didn't know at the time. Yeah, apparently narcissism doesn't really count on the...
Do you believe they're fair income? Do you believe they're that smart that they that those titles are real?
I guess so. I'm in no position to say you're wrong, but
well, maybe it was just at that time.
At that time, yeah. I like to think I'm functioning much better now. But yeah, it was hard to.
Well, I can see he's an excellent and first-class professional and a highly effective human being because you can share your stories. But I just think, folks, that there's almost 400 mental health conditions now, and when you look at years ago after the world wars where people were fighting, there was no depression. You could go into a village and say, "Anybody depressed?" They go, "What are you talking about? We're just trying to feed ourselves and win the war." You go to Fiji, third world countries. Anybody depressed? No, they're happy. They're living in tin sheds. They're happy. They're smiling. I think things have become too soft, that psychologists come in and find something that's wrong in your life and all of a sudden you're tagged with a condition. Whereas people like Tom Cruise and Scientology say, they dislike mental health professionals. They say we should just override all that old garbage, stinking thinking programming and work on our self-confidence and on our positivity levels. But I can see their point of view.
Okay,
because people who get all these conditions, you sort of attract that. Oh, I'm bipolar, I'm this, I'm depressed. And where's the antidepressants? You took antidepressants for 6 months, did you?
I know, I still take them now.
Are they good?
Yeah, they're quite good, yeah. I feel like they've restructured my brain. I feel like I'm functioning much better. Yeah, I've actually dropped a lot of the issues I had, so I'm a new person now.
They work well for you. What are they?
Zoloft, sertraline.
Isn't that amazing, folks, that, antidepressants are great for some people, but eventually I suppose he's got to get off them slowly. We'll be back very shortly. Don't go away. Thank you very much for watching wherever you are. Love and best wishes. Thank you very much for all your emails. Thank you very much for coming up in the street or on the court to say good day, to share your story and sharing your tips how to get through the difficult times. I've learned so much from a lot of the people who sit on the couch. Marcos is on the couch tonight. He's a decent fella, and what I like about Marcos, he's authentic, he's kind-hearted, and he's very real. At my age, I'm sick and tired of bullshit people who wear masks and pretend to be perfect, pretend to be special, because we realise that Western society is pretty broken. 1 in 3 people is suffering from anxiety, depression, and still people are fooling themselves, pretending to be perfect. I really think that we're all perfectly imperfect, and we've got to be a lot more authentic and kind. And you get all these real estate agents or people ringing all the time. Oh, who is in charge of, do you want to save yourself some money? Buy the car, there's all that rubbish is from the 80s. I think we're in an age where we've got to be authentic with each other. Don't you think?
I definitely think so, yeah.
Authentic people. What I believe, authentic people, because even politicians, they talk, but it's such fabricated talk, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. They read from a script, Yeah. It's quite annoying.
So Marcos got bullied at primary school, at high school. Even though he was the big fella, people picked on him, they punched him, they made him feel bad. So what a shame, if teachers and parents should really educate their kids not to get involved in that nonsense of bullying. It really is a crime. So the poor bloke went through to a very good private school, but he learnt a lot, but he didn't put in 110%. Because he wasn't supported by his fellow students, which is quite disgraceful. If you're one of those students walking past the TV, stop bullying if you are a bully. So it seems like the schooling was just a terrible time. And then he got a job in a very sort of a professional place. And unfortunately, all the anger came out and he ended up being fired and ended up on the couch. But then there was the cult. What happened with the cult?
Yeah, well, while I was on the couch, I was looking through YouTube, and I was quite interested in the Bill Cosby scandal.
Yeah.
So I was looking for sort of informative videos about that.
Yes.
And I found one from a guy, and I wasn't expecting to see what I saw. I just saw this bald guy from a white background just talking for an hour. I was expecting like a documentary. So I just watched him, and I was captivated by his charisma. He spoke very, very well. He sort of stared into the camera intensely. He was sort of like drew me in. And then I started watching more and more of his videos. And what I didn't realize was I was being brainwashed by what he was saying. Basically he does these videos that are hours long, and it's called information overload. When you're given so much information, you don't process all of it, so you just assume everything's accurate.
Amazing.
So yeah, literally. So and he pushes his agenda forward. He basically tells you everything. Your family, your friends, mainstream media are bad. They're telling you the bad things. They're leading you down the wrong path. After every terrorist attack, he'd literally do a video. He'd just snarl about Muslims, saying that after every shooting of a black person, they'd say, "Oh, it was the black person's fault, not the cops." So he's very, very white supremacist, very hateful, and just being bombarded with that really sort of broke me down. And I felt like that's what cult people do. They break you down, and so you turn to him as like a leader, as help me, make me feel better, So, and that can happen over the computer, A lot of people think cults are just like living in the deserts and wearing robes and believing in aliens. No, it can happen everywhere in lots of forms.
Amazing. This man, cult leader, did he? Was it a recorded interview? Or was it Facebook Live or?
Oh no, they're pre-made videos.
Pre-made videos.
He does lots of them.
Did you ever get in touch with him for advice? Does he talk to his members?
He does, yeah. He does a call-in show, I think, every week. Yeah. And he debates people. He pretty much just berates anyone who says a word against him, and he sort of massages the ego of people who like him. So actually, I thought about calling him. I was this close to actually joining his inner circle, which is like a paid subscription and I think he collects all your details, and he actually humiliates you if you leave him.
Wow!
So it was a scary thing. I'm glad I avoided that.
Wow, that's interesting. And Marcos, does he want money?
He does. Yeah, he's always talking about donations.
Yeah,
He says, "Oh, it's the best philosophy." He says he's a philosopher.
Yeah,
it's the best philosophy show in the world, so you must pay to keep it going.
Amazing. Did you ever pay him?
Never.
Never.
No. I'm usually pretty stingy anyway.
And how long do you think you were sucked into his ego dysfunction for?
I think about 2 years. It was at the end of 2014 is when I actually got into him, because I was on the couch and I was vulnerable and wanted something to make me feel better. But then at the start of 2016, my life started getting better, and that's around the same time I saw through his sham. And when
you started believing the facts he was submitting on over the internet, did you then act differently? Did you become racist? Did you commit any wrongful acts where you thought, God, I'm an idiot for doing that?
Oh no, thankfully not. No, it's just the fear I felt. The way after every terrorist attack he says, "Oh, they're coming to get you. There's blood flowing down the streets, and you're next." And so I just felt fear, and I felt
So it increased your anxiety.
Yeah, it did, and I just felt I was made suspicious of family, of friends, of governments and media.
So it almost sounds like you really sort of kept to yourself.
Yeah.
And became a bit of a loner because of this person on the internet.
Yeah, and because I'm a loner, I didn't tell anyone about what I was watching. So they would have steered me away from it, but I didn't tell anyone. So that's also a danger as well if you're lonely.
Marcos, that's fantastic. Because the 20s are never much fun. We're finding ourselves. We go through challenges, but mate, you're skyrocketing now.
Thank you.
You've you might have been kicked to the ground, but you're not staying down. You're getting up. You never give up.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. You've had so many life lessons. So even though Marcos didn't drink, smoke, or take drugs like a major selection of our young community, he's gone through his own shade of tough times. He says in the interview, went through all the rainbow of emotions of darkness and depression, anxiety. He's on antidepressants now, dealing with his issues, but he's getting much better. And even though he's had some difficult times, he's positive and he's smiling. That's great.
Yeah.
And what's your advice to other young men or women who are going through a difficult time? They might be stuck in a cult, or they might be lonely because they've got no friends. And what do you say to them? How can we get through that?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I just say just find what you love doing and just keep doing that. Just escape into the good things. Do some good work, charity, whatever. Make some friends, and talk to your family. And whatever's troubling you. Most people in cults are disconnected from their family, but that's bad. You should should always be in contact, be open with what you're going through, and take advice. Never submit to someone who's brainwashing you into doing something you shouldn't do. Yeah, so just keep smiling, keep going.
Keep smiling and talk to the man upstairs.
Yeah.
Marcos, thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take good care. God bless you. And thank you very much for viewers for watching. Thank you for the pleasure of your company. Love and best wishes. I'm Michael Kuzilny. Good night.